courtroom was silent, heavy with an air of anticipation. Officer Daniel Grayson sat tall in the witness stand, his uniform crisp, his demeanor unshaken. He had done this countless times, testified with confidence, fabricated details, and ensured the conviction of those who stood against him. Today was no different, or so he thought. At the defense table, Rebecca Hayes sat motionless. Her piercing blue eyes observed everything: the way the jury shifted uncomfortably, the subtle smirk on the prosecutor's face, and most importantly, the overconfidence in Grayson's voice. She wasn't an ordinary defendant, and soon he would learn the truth the hard way. Grayson cleared his throat and leaned forward. On the night of March 14th, I was patrolling downtown when I witnessed the defendant behaving erratically. She resisted arrest, struck me in the chest, and attempted to flee. Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. The prosecutor nodded approvingly. The judge, however, remained impassive, his gaze locked on the witness. Rebecca's attorney, James Holloway, let out a slow breath. "Officer Grayson," he began, his voice measured, "are you absolutely certain about these events?" Grayson scoffed. "Of course, I have no reason to lie." Rebecca's lips curled into the faintest smirk. She knew exactly how this would unfold. Holloway exchanged a glance with her, then turned back to the officer. "Then, I assume you won't mind if we present some evidence to support your claims?" Grayson's confidence flickered for just a second. He had no idea the walls were about to close in. Grayson straightened his posture, masking his brief hesitation. "I stand by my statement," he said firmly. Holloway nodded, pacing slowly. "And you claim this happened outside the downtown cafe on 5th Street? "Yes," Grayson confirmed. The courtroom clerk turned on a monitor. "Let's see what actually happened." The video played. The room fell into a stunned silence. Rebecca wasn't resisting. She was simply walking when Grayson shoved her against a car, restraining her forcefully. Gasps echoed. The judge's expression darkened. Grayson's jaw tightened. This is taken out of context." Rebecca finally spoke, her voice calm. "Is it?" Grayson didn't know it yet, but he had just made the biggest mistake of his career. Holloway folded his hands. "Officer, do you still maintain that Miss Hayes assaulted you?" Grayson hesitated, eyes darting toward the prosecutor, but no help came. "Yes, then explain this." Holloway pointed to the screen. The footage played again. Rebecca walking, Grayson attacking. Not a single sign of resistance. Grayson clenched his fists. He was cornered, but his arrogance wouldn't let him admit defeat. The jury murmured, sensing the shift. Rebecca leaned forward slightly. "Perjury is a serious offense, Officer Grayson." For the first time, a flicker of fear crossed his face. The trap was closing. The judge cleared his throat. "Officer Grayson, this footage contradicts your testimony. Do you have an explanation?" Grayson stammered. "There must be another angle. She resisted before this clip." Holloway smiled. "We have the full footage, Your Honor." The entire courtroom braced as the extended video played. Silence. Grayson's face drained of color. Rebecca smirked. "You lied under oath." The courtroom shifted, the power dynamics changing. Holloway turned to the judge. "Your Honor, my client has something to reveal." Rebecca reached into her blazer and placed her badge on the table. "I'm Special Agent Rebecca Hayes, Assistant Director of the FBI." A stunned hush fell over the room. The prosecutor paled. Grayson froze. Rebecca's gaze locked onto him. "And I've been investigating Officer Grayson's misconduct for months." The courtroom exploded in whispers. Grayson had walked into his own trap. Grayson shot to his feet. "This is entrapment." The judge banged his gavel. "Sit down, officer." Rebecca remained calm. "Your Honor, I have evidence of systematic corruption in Officer Grayson's department." The prosecutor looked sick. Grayson clenched his jaw. He had underestimated her. The courtroom's energy shifted. This wasn't just about one false arrest. This was about exposing an entire system. Holloway handed over a file. "Your Honor, these are records of false arrests, fabricated evidence, and bribery within the precinct." The judge examined the documents. His expression hardened. "This changes everything." Grayson's world crumbled. He had thought this was just another day in court. Instead, it was the beginning of his downfall. The prosecutor wiped his forehead. "We need a recess." Rebecca leaned back. "Scared?" Grayson turned toward her, desperate. "This is a setup," she smirked. "You set yourself up." The judge denied the recess. The trial would continue, and Grayson was running out of lies. The judge turned to the bailiff. "Take Officer Grayson into custody." Grayson struggled. You can't do this. Rebecca remained stone-faced. You did this to yourself. As the cuffs clicked, the jury looked on, knowing they had just witnessed the exposure of a predator. But Rebecca knew this was just the beginning. The real fight lay ahead. Outside the courtroom, Rebecca met Director Calloway. Grayson was just the tip of the iceberg, she said. Calloway nodded. And now they know you're watching. She wasn't just taking down one officer, she was taking down an entire corrupt network. And they were coming for her. That night, a package arrived at Rebecca's office. Inside was a list of names, officials, officers, politicians. A note was attached. Drop the case, or you won't live to see the end of it. Rebecca's hands tightened. If they thought fear would stop her, they had no idea who they were dealing with. Rebecca's team tracked down an informant willing to talk. They met in a safe house, the man's hands trembling. This goes beyond Grayson, he whispered. There are powerful people involved. Rebecca leaned in. Then we bring them down. The war had just begun. Over the next months, arrests shook the city. Officials, officers, even a senator. The corruption ran deeper than Rebecca had imagined. But with each victory, the danger grew. The enemy wasn't done fighting, and neither was she. Late one evening, another package arrived. A single photo, a shadowy figure in the distance, watching her. A final note. You think you won. The real fight is just beginning. Rebecca exhaled slowly, fire burning in her eyes. They wanted a war? They had one. This was just the beginning of Rebecca Hayes' fight for justice. But how deep does the corruption go? And who's really pulling the strings? Let us know in the comments. What do you think happens next? If you enjoyed this thrilling story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more gripping tales of truth, deception, and justice. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the most dangerous lies are the ones told under oath.